Well, good morning. This is Vic Autry with iPersonalize, and today we are doing some advanced product training with Wilma Howe, who is our project lead on the iPersonalize software. And today, due to popular request, many of you have asked to be able to create your own customizable products and product templates. Uh, as you know, up to this point in time, basically, we have been doing that work for you. If you have a product that has not been loaded in our system, what we've been doing is we have been going ahead and because it is a bit of a process. You have to know about pixels, image sizes. You have to know how to use all those tools, and we've just done it for you. And usually it takes us 24 to 72 hours to turn them around. And but many of you are very astute at this part, and you have requested that you be allowed to create customizable templates. And so today we're going to show you, or Wilma's going to show you, exactly how that is done. And once you go through it and see the process, and you know, we train a lot of people on this system anyway, but it takes about an hour to kind of show you. Usually people are up and running on it, but you may decide that you want to let us continue to install them for you. But if you want to do this, you need to let us know that you are interested in it, and then what we will do is set you up in the system so that you will have basically a directory where your products, your customizable products, will be secure, and where you can work in and make all the changes to do what you want to do. But you will need to let us know that you're indeed interested in doing this. So, Miss Wilma, with that disclaimer, I think I can probably turn this over to you, and if I can figure out how to do it here on the system. Here
I think you have to hit the three dots.
I got you. Here it comes.
You got me. Okay, good deal.
All right, good deal. There you go. I see your screen, Wilma. So, everybody, let's proceed.
Okay, everyone's there, right?
I see a lot of people there. Yeah. So.
Okay, so we're
we might check some messages. Yeah, I'm going to check some messages here. I'll keep an eye on those, Wilma, while you go ahead. So off we go.
Okay, so we're creating these customizable product templates, and that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to try to focus on the basics here. And right now, there are two URLs for accessing this platform. The one you go into to create your custom product template is ipersonalize.gateway3d.com/ACP, and your login credentials would be sent via email. Actually, they should be the same as you use for Print Manager and e-commerce now.
Yeah, but they have to. We will have to tweak the system so they.
We have to tweak some permissions and things
Right.
to give you the appropriate permissions to do what you need to.
Yeah, and we just don't want to do it for everybody. We want to know if you really want to do it, then we'll do it for you. You just need to let us know again. So, okay.
So, and this is what the login screen looks like. We were having some problems with Firefox, but that seems to be resolved now. In general, it's recommended that you use Chrome or Firefox rather than IE. When you first log in, you're going to initially be taken and see things that the product manager. And when you first get started, what you need to know is about the images that you initially. You're going to need to create two 800 by 800 pixel images. One is the product image and the other is the mask. These images must be in PNG format. It's recommended that they be 300 dpi. You can use the internal artwork editor tool to create these images or edit these images, or you can use an external image editor of your choice. For this example, I'm going to be using the internal Pixlr artwork editor just to show you how that works. Over on the left, you will see Artwork Editor, and what we're going to do is we're going to open an image from the computer that you may have. In this case, I'm using an iPhone 5S full wrap, and so here's the image. This image is not square, so first we're going to change that canvas size to make it square without resizing the image. So we're doing that. I'm making that 1000 by 1000 the canvas size itself, not the image size, so the image doesn't change. You'll notice this has a transparent background. That makes it easier when you're decorating if it has a transparent background. Then we're going to resize the image. So we go up to the top and we choose image size. And then we change that to 800 by 800. It resizes the image to 800 by 800. Then we save the image. And in this case, I'm just putting the word image after it so I know that that's what that's for. You can put 800 after it or whatever makes sense to you in your own personal naming convention. With this image still up, we're going to move on to creating the image mask. So we're going to create a new layer. And so clicking on that little page icon over in that layers dialog to the right, we're going to do that. And then we're going to select the wand tool and just click in our image area to select the area that we're going to have for decorating. And you can adjust at the top the tolerance level so that it will fit as tightly as possible around things like cameras and other pieces that you don't want to decorate on your product. Once you've got that done, we did that while working with our actual image layer. So now we'll go to our blank layer and click the fill tool and fill that in using that paint bucket tool to fill in that mask area. And then, because we already saved our image originally, we're going to delete that original image area by image and hitting that trash icon. And now all we have left is our mask, so we can choose File, Save, and save that. And usually I just put the word mask at the end of the image name so that I'll know that that's the mask when looking at it in my directory. And now I've saved my images for use in creating the product template. Some of the basics you need to know is that you can create a product either by copying an existing product and then editing it, or by creating a new product. To create a new product, you first have to navigate to the category where the product's going to reside. We give people read-only access to a number of categories so that they can review them or copy them, but you only have write access to your own product category structure under your company category. So in this case, I'd click the category search button, which is really just a magnifying glass there. And I'll see a lot of different categories listed. And you can either scroll through the list to find the category that your own category to add a product to, or I'm lazy, so I usually use the search box at the top left, and I will type in part of the name that I'm looking for, and then I click the little checkbox to the right of the category where I want to add the product. When you're in there, you do the drop down at the top right and choose Create 2D Product. And the minimum that you need to do here, and if you're like me, a lot of times you'll do the minimum because it's easier that way. you'll want to go ahead and create a name, and you put a SKU. Usually, I would recommend that this be the product number that you use in your store, or relates back to your product number. ACP automatically assigns a product number itself, and you'll see that at the top right. The supplier then you will choose, and that will end up being your own company category for most of you, unless you're using external suppliers. And then you're going to choose Save before continuing on to the next step. After saving, you can select 2D views from the left menu. Each product can have multiple views. In this case, we're working with a phone, so we're really only going to have one view, which is the back of the product, or the front, depending on what it is. But a t-shirt, you could have more than one view, like a front and a back. So I'm going to open the name, which is phone back. I clicked choose file, and I'm going to upload the image file for the background. Sorry. And then I upload the mask file for the mask, and I click on add. Then I will see those up at the top, and I can click on save to save the changes, and I'm ready to move on to the next step. As I said, you can have multiple views depending on what product you have. Then we're going to print areas, and this is probably one of the most important pieces. Click new to create a print area. You can have multiple print areas. Oops, sorry, let me go back. You can have multiple print areas based on however many views you have. You're going to give your print area a name. Doesn't have to be, anything big. You can call it case back if you want to, just whatever you want it to be.
But this is what will show up on the preview screen instead too, right, Wilma?
No, the 2D view names will show up there.
Right. So this is what when your customers come through and say you had multiple images on this product and multiple views, this is what they'll see. So you want to make sure it's something that they'll relate to and understand.
It's always important to make sure whatever you name things is meaningful. You don't want to call it George, for example, because that wouldn't mean anything to most people.
It would to George, but go ahead.
It would to George, but George is my dog, by the way.
Okay.
The first thing you input here is the print width and height. This is the output width and height of whatever it is you're putting out in millimeters. This is an important measurement. I went through that with someone this week. After you've got that in, then you can put in the X and Y position. Above that first line, that X and Y position is the image area, and the next line is the mask area. So, and usually those are the same. They're you want that aspect ratio to match, though, from those and the print width and height down below. So you usually use your mouse. You can go to texture preview down below. Just hit the plus sign next to texture preview, and you can then go and edit, take that edit area and mask area and move those over so that you can set those. And as you drag those, it will automatically change the aspect ratio next to it so that you can check and try to make sure those get as close as possible. You'll notice it's also, as you drag that over on top of your image, it's also setting an X and Y position so that should be the same. You're going to want to click Save when you're done. Usually before I move on, I make a note of that X and Y position because that's going to be important when we move on to the image area. Now we click on image areas. Again, you can have multiple image areas as well. And we're going to click on the new image area. and we're going to give that a name. And this is what shows up. If you have multiple image areas, it's going to show background, whatever name you give it. So if this is going to be a background image, you would call it background. If you call it image A, B, and C, that's not going to mean anything to people. Anyway, I want this image to cover the entire area because I want it to be a background image, and I want to give them the option to do that. They can make it smaller than that if they want to, but I'm giving them the opportunity to make that the full background for the phone. So I take those same X and Y positions and that width and height that I had for those areas over in our print area, and I just plug that in here, and I click Save. And as I said before, you can have multiple image areas. The next thing that we want to take a look at is text, adding text areas to your product. A product can have multiple text areas as well. You can choose to do, one multi-line text area, or you can choose to do a line 1, 2, and 3. Any way you want to handle that. So to add a text area, you click on New, and you give it a name. In this case, it's line 1. You could just call it text if you want to, if you're only going to have one field here. It doesn't matter, as long as, again, it makes sense. You don't want to call it Joe Bob, because that doesn't make sense to people. They won't know what that means. Again, there's going to be an X and a Y position that you have to put in here, as well as the font size. There is a text, and there is a text boundary area down here. Normally, most people don't use that, but that's for instances where you want to limit your text to a constrained area. An example of this might be monogramming, where you might want to set an X and Y position and limit it to a certain width and height and that sort of thing. You also have the ability, if you click under fonts, there's a large number of fonts that are out there. You can choose which ones to make it available or not. You don't really want to use them all because that's an awful lot to load into memory when you load your configurator. There's a lot of them that are already automatically chosen, so you really don't have to choose your fonts. It'll choose a lot of them by default. Sorry. And you also have the option to choose a default color. Down here under text preview, it's not completely accurate, but you can drag your text to kind of automatically set that X and Y coordinates up above, if you wish. Anytime when you're working on the basic details, anytime you're working on your product, you can go back to basic details to test the customization. And to do that, you would just click the little plus sign next to print test, and then you would click on start test, and you would see a test area there. For some reason, it takes longer to load here than it does outside of this tool. So normally I just give people a test URL that they can use with their products, and that way they can have that up in a separate tab, and they can test their product as they're setting it up. Once they've got that product ID, they can just test it as they go along and make sure it's okay. You can go and choose then font sizes and colors. You basically put in each font size and each color that you want to show up in the drop-down list for these people. The only colors that are available for them are the ones you put in. That's one reason why a lot of people will copy one product so they don't have to put in all the colors again to whenever they create a new product. Font sizes don't matter as much because you're going to be able to resize the font, the text size once they get to that customization area anyway, just by dragging the handles of the text. But if you want them to be able to do that by drop down, you want to put your font sizes in there. It is possible to create color areas for your product. We don't really use that through e-commerce manager right now, but you can do that. What you would ordinarily do is click the plus sign next to add additional colors once you go in there. And you can then choose all the colors you want by putting a checkbox next to each one. And then click the Save button at the bottom. And then those colors would be listed here, and you can change the names if you wish, and the hex code as well. Pick which one you want to be default. It's really, really important that you don't check underfill enabled. I made the mistake one day of putting in some color areas and then clicking black as the default. And that way, when the customization screen came up for people to customize the product, the background was black and it looked really ugly. So don't do that. So the minimum product template steps are: you navigate to the category and you select Create 2D Product from the drop-down. Then you go to the Basic Details screen. You fill out name, SKU, and supplier. You go to the 2D views, and at a minimum you create one view with a name, product image upload, and mask image upload. And then you go to print areas, and for each view you create, you need to create a print area and enter the output dimensions in millimeters, and then adjust the image and mask areas with the same X and Y coordinates and with an aspect ratio as close as possible to the output AR. For each print area, you can create as many image areas as you wish. Each image area must have a name, an associated print area, X and Y coordinates, and height and width. And then for the text area, you can have multiple text areas for each print area. Each text area must have a name, X and Y coordinates, and a default text size and points. And that's the minimum you have to complete. If you're using e-commerce manager, the thumbnail image that's displayed in ACP will not impact the thumbnail image displayed in your store. If you're using a different e-commerce platform, the thumbnail image may matter if you're doing an export from ACP and an import to your e-commerce platform, but otherwise it won't if you're just using URLs. If you use a kiosk application or product selector layout that directly accesses ACP, the thumbnail image will make a difference because it will be displayed there. Thumbnail images don't have to be PNG or 30 DPI, but 800 by 800 is still kind of recommended as the size. Thumbnails are added under Basic Details and Assets. When I refer to thumbnails, it's what's shown here under Product Manager in this list in ACP next to the product. And you will see that if you want it to look like a decorated product, you can add a thumbnail rather than leave it just the bland blank product. And these are some examples where a thumbnail has been added.
And so, just in case anybody doesn't know, the thumbnail is exactly the image that shows up on your website. That's what the customers first see when.
Well, it's not going to affect it in the ECM because.
Oh, it's not. We have a different one there. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. We use the one uploaded through ECM.
Okay.
Now, it's important to note that in e-commerce manager, if you add it into ACP, it's not automatically added into e-commerce manager.
Doesn't need
Right
to be.
now, huh?
Doesn't need to be, does it?
It doesn't have to be, but you know, if they wanted it actually to show up in their store, it would. Um, right now, we create these product templates here, and then we go to when you've requested the product, it has created kind of a blank product over in e-commerce manager, and then we go in and fill in the product number. We're going to have a way for you to do that yourselves. But right now, if you want one of these products you've created added to ECM for you, you still kind of have to say, hey, I created this product number. Could you just kind of finish that ad out there for me? And we can do that.
Yeah, that's a quick process. But in the e-commerce manager, when a product is loaded and in there and they want to change the thumbnail, they can go in there.
Yeah, they can change the thumbnail in there anytime.
Yeah, you can do that at any time.
And this doesn't affect that thumbnail at all.
Right.
Let me go and show you a couple other things that I was going to show you here. This is the product details screen, and this is the assets area in there under basic details, and when you click there, you can then choose a file from your hard drive to use as that thumbnail. And this is where it shows up. It doesn't say thumbnail, but that's what it is right there, and it's the one under basic details that you change. Now, one other thing, I had mentioned that you can also create products by copying products. So I want to take you through that process really quickly as well. So let's say, for example, you know that there's a Condi product or a Marvel product or something like that that you want to do. We go out to the category and we go find that category that we want. And sorry, let me just. That's a house full of dogs. Actually, George doesn't bark; it's the other dogs. So let's go look at here. We'll go look out here and see if there's anything we want to use. Say, for example, there's a product out here that I want to copy over, whether it's a pint glass or that. I pick the products that I want, and then up here, the with selected, I say copy. And then I go and I copy that over to whatever to my company category.
Right, which will be set up. Again, we will set up, if you're interested in doing this, we will set up a special category there in that list that is for your store. And it'll be, this is where you will find your custom product templates that you have created.
Let me do that again, as I obviously did something wrong. I do that sometimes. So say I pick a couple of products here. I'm going to, with selected, copy those, and I'm going to copy those over to this company category. And now these are now in Sorry, I kept doing that, but I never went back. I'm still looking at the same category, that's why. So if I go now back to my company category, come on over. You will see all the products that I copied over to that category are now listed. And I can go in then and edit them however I want to edit them to make them my own. Does that make sense?
Well, this is why I went into accounting originally. But
I have accountants in my family tree. I cannot picture you as an accountant. Yeah.
I was young then. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, I know this is a lot to absorb quickly, but even I, who am not naturally drawn toward this type of thing, can see the logic in it and can get around it a little bit. If anybody has any questions, feel free to speak up. Wilma will be making a more formal, official training video that won't have me on it, and it will just go through the individual steps. So we'll post this video on the iPersonalize YouTube channel that we're recording now, but we will also have a more formal one soon as Wilma refines what she wants to present. But please speak up now, so if you have anything. Okay.
Did you mute them?
No, they're not muted. They're just quiet. So
I don't even hear them breathing.
can we get a last couple? Let's see. Someone just wrote a question here. Can we get the last couple of slides? Someone is asking a question.
Yes. I was just updating my thing. So we can send out an updated slide deck so that you can see all those slides.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the last couple weren't in the 50 that came out in the advanced product training.
Yeah.
With
I was
system requirements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelly, do you understand all this? A guy like you? Easy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, not easy. I've been using the custom product preview platform where I create the masks, and this is actually a little bit easier than that one is to do. So.
Well, great. I haven't heard that before. Good.
It'll take a little bit getting used to, though, the differences. But yeah.
Yeah, this was Gateway 3D, and our British friends that's the backbone of this graphics engine, and they kind of do it their way in Merrill, England. But
yep. Yeah. Where was that? When you were picking the background images.
Right.
Let's see. Now that's going to be for, like, if we want to change the color of an iPhone case from white to black to pink for the printable area. If someone wants to order one with a pink background and their text and stuff on it, we can do that.
Well, right now that doesn't really work through e-commerce manager with the color areas.
Okay.
What I mean is, let me go back to my. I'll just edit this and show you. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, there's an area over here called color areas.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That you can go in and see what the color area is, and set different different colors that you want to put out there for it. Right now, that doesn't. We have a problem getting that to feed back to Magento from the customized tool right now properly, and so that's why we don't currently have that implemented. If we can get that working, we can add that capability. But right now we don't have that working properly in the callback URL. It doesn't seem to pull that information back to Magento. So
okay,
that's an issue.
Okay, yeah, I can see why that's not working then.
Yeah. But I included that in my original presentation because that was to cover also people who are using other tools. So.
Right. Yeah. My other website's a Magento website.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, that's all the questions I had.
Wilma, can you just run through one new product? I would go copy a product, but can you just do one where they put in an image at the top, say just on an iPhone, an image at the top, maybe some text in the middle, and then an image at the bottom? I know that may not be a great design, but I just want to demonstrate that people can be as creative as they want to be to set up these products. So, you know, even I don't know if we have the charm bracelet that Conde sells, and I guess we do, but the charm bracelet, for instance, has 6 image areas, 1 for each charm. And I won't ask you to do that one, Wilma, but
well, let's do one more. Go back out to where we were. I don't know that you guys necessarily want to see me go through it, and the reason I did it in a presentation format rather than doing it live is just to speed it up, because you know, that way I don't have to worry about how fast or slow the system is on that particular day, and I have all my images prepared so that I don't have to worry about it. Because I don't have all these product images locally on my hard drive to upload masks and all that sort of thing.
I see. Sorry about that.
But here, let's take a look, for example, at this case, this particular phone case here, and look at what was originally done with that one. You'll notice that there is here one view that's created, and when it comes to print areas, there's that one view that's created that has the aspect ratio. They're very close to the same. And then, though, when we go to the image areas, there are 2 image areas defined. One is for the background, and one is for a foreground shape to put a monogram on it, for example. So when you're in a situation like that, it does matter what order you add things in, because the only control you have over which image is on top and which image is below is the order you add them in. So, because if I added a new image area and I called it test, for example, I'm going to delete it afterwards, but it's okay because this is in my test category. We would put in a height and X and Y position and a height and width. And you'll notice here it says surface front. If there were multiple views for this product, you would see the different views here, and that would be the view it was on. If you had a t-shirt, for example, you might have a sleeve that it's on versus, the front or the back or the sleeve. And down here, my little 50 pixel area, well, it's not working for me. Ordinarily, you can drag that into where you want it to be. 50 pixels isn't enough to do anything, I guess. And you can move that where you want it to be. Honest, you can on a good day.
Okay.
That's why I don't do these live.
Yeah.
When I have mouth problems or system problems, so.
But you can't drag that down where you want it. There it is.
Yeah, you can drag that down where you want it, and you can, adjust the size as you want it to be. So you can create that extra image area there if you want to. And if I save that, see, it warns me that it doesn't fall within the image area, surface area, because if you look under that text preview, my image is outside of the print area. I have to have it inside of the print area or it's going to complain.
Can you move that up on your screen, Wilma? So, because I think that image is going to be cut off at the bottom of what they're seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you go. Thank you.
All right. Every time I hit save, it moves the screen. So when I look at the image areas again after saving that, I'll see now that test is at the very bottom.
So if
and
you want that to appear in a different order on the preview screen, that's where if background was first and shapes was second, that's where that would reverse.
Now what happened is the last thing you add ends up being on the bottom, and the first thing you added ends up being on the top.
Okay.
In terms of layering, which seems backwards, but And then to delete one, you can go in and edit one. You can duplicate an area, or you can delete. And in that case, that's what I'm going to do, is just delete that. You can also, and that's something we didn't talk about, put in a placeholder image for one of these image areas. And in this case, I think she did, when she created this, she used a chevron as a placeholder image for the background.
So what does that do for you, Wilma?
Well, what that does is when you go in, it's already going to have that image there when they go in to customize the product, and it's already going to have.
Oh, okay.
So you already see that as a placeholder, and they can replace that with a different image. But there's already something there, so they can get an idea what it's supposed to look like.
Okay, so if someone actually creates their own designs or placeholders or backgrounds like that, they can have that show up immediately when somebody selects the product. And
well, say for example, let's say for example you had a school that you were selling things for. You had a school logo that you were going to be selling, doing your school sales for. You could put that logo in automatically,
Uh-huh.
and have that in there automatically, and then they can go in and they can change that to something else if they choose to, or they can have that there as it
Well,
is.
now, also, this is how we would, so if we put a school logo on the product and it shows up there, and if you just wanted them not to be able to change that and just to be able to put some text in a defined place below that logo, the options for what they would see that they can do on that particular product would just be adding text, right? We can just limit it to that.
Well, once if you've got an image area here defined like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's automatically going to be an area that they can add an image to. You know.
Okay.
What you can do, however, is and you can put in some recommended things in there and some things like that for it. But what you can do is, you know, and you have the option here to say you can only use gallery images if you want to limit them only to the gallery that you're giving them.
Yeah, and again, the galleries are what's uploaded on the site setup down in the e-commerce manager. Those are the galleries that you can create all the galleries you want.
And in this case, that was done so that they could limit them to the backgrounds and the foregrounds for those monogrammed things, so that, you know, these are your options. But once you can use placeholder images like that, but they're still able to do something else, like, you know, choose another image from the gallery if they choose to do so.
Yeah.
So that's an option for you. This means they can't upload something from their hard drive or from Facebook or something if you choose only allow gallery images. Alternately, if you wanted to do to make them so they can't change it, you'd have to do that in a different way. And ordinarily, and that's another thing that I'm going to be creating. I'm going to be creating another series of documentation, you know, another presentation on that for another of our clients who wants to know, you know, what his options are there, because he focuses on promo products and wants to be able to offer this to people very, you know, the products with their logos already on it. And so.
Yeah, and in that situation, that's going to happen, and they will just want, if they allow them to put some text or do something else, that'll be tightly controlled, because that's the way people are about their logos in the promo world. They don't want something too near it, the wrong size. They're very particular about that. Exactly.
So we'll be putting something together separately for that. And that's probably best waiting for a different time to talk more specifically about that.
We're about at 50 minutes right now with this, and which is about normally the attention span, far beyond my normal attention span, but Wilma, thank you for going through this. And I know, everyone, it's a lot of information to absorb, but many of you have a background in working with graphics, and so it probably is much easier for you. Does anybody have any quick questions that they would like to ask Miss Wilma? You can always contact Wilma directly at wilmahowell@gmail.com. And I guess we'll need to get you an iPersonalized email address. Wilma will do that. But you can always reach her. And Millette, obviously, is the one that typically does the product loads for everyone. She's reachable through support at iPersonalize as well. Everybody sees the support tickets that come through. And again, that's the best way to make sure if you have a request or need some help with the product, that everybody sees it when you hit support. I personalize it's logged in, and we follow up with those. Make sure something doesn't fall through the cracks. Well, but do you have any other insights on this process?
Well, things are different for everyone in terms of how, what problems or what questions they come up with and they have. There's one thing I did not show in going through, and it's not part of the basic things, and that's effects. By default, for the image area, we do full color, but there are some other image effects you can do, such as embroidered and, etch on glass and all that. But
and that's important if you are doing laser etching or if you are doing embroidered products. We do have, if someone actually was an embroiderer, I don't think we really have anybody in the system right now that actually just does embroidery, but as an FYI to everyone, we do have the capability now of actually taking an image that someone would put on a shirt, and the system will create the actual tape, the digital tape that is needed to be produced. And as many of you probably know, when that typically happens, there's a digitizer has to create that. These online digitizers have been around for a few years from Melco and a couple other of the big embroidery companies. They've been refining them, and they haven't been very good until now. But we have built in one from Melco that is actually pretty darn good. And I sent out some information about it a few weeks ago. But if that's of interest to anybody, that can be arranged. But this is where you would click embroidered there to make someone put some text on a shirt. You can use that special effect to make the image there that they previewed look more like threads. And so that's why I bring that up to you at this point.
Now, Victor, does that just make the graphic look like it was embroidered, or does it actually do some background digitizing?
No, it'll make, when they're looking at it on the screen in step 2, it'll make it look like threads. It doesn't, but if they order it, and if we have that product set up on our the new tool we have, we would have to set up that product to use that ability to actually create the tape. That would have to be turned on there, and it would create the tape. And so that's what you would receive in your order.
Okay, so it's going to look like Melco's design shop when it's in 3D view.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sound like you're an embroiderer, so that's good. We haven't really had any first-hand experience with it, but I've seen several demonstrations from the folks at Gateway 3D about it. And it was something we needed for a long time, and I think it'll be pretty cool for many of you. Anything else, anybody? If not, I'm going to close it down. Thank you, and Wimble will be coming out with a series of videos or recordings that will be more specific on various parts of how to do this process. And it's over my head.
Yeah, the purpose of today was to focus on the basics so that you wouldn't get too overwhelmed with everything that you can do. So
it is a very robust system. But again, if you are interested in making your own templates and using this system, please let us know, and we'll start setting up the proper permissions in the back end here of the system so that you can do that and store your customized products so you can use them and they'll be all yours. So thank you everyone for your time today. I'm going to, at this point, Will, if you would pass that control back to me.
Okay.
I will, we can end the recording, and as always, if anyone has questions, we are always available. Send them in or give us a. We appreciate you being here today. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.